Alright, I don't know if it was either this Monday or last Friday, but I was driving to work and I was listening to one of the local, morning radio shows, personality shows. And, they'll, toss out a question to their listening audience. It's a different question every day. And this particular day's question was, how would you handle it if your child came out as a homosexual? And I, know that that is a hard topic to discuss and to admit, what you would do. But I was, very upset with a lot of the responses that came through. You got the general, I wouldn't talk to them, I would be mad and I wouldn't talk to them, I would just cut them off from their life, which is bad in and of itself. But the main thing is, some responders said that they would try to see where they went wrong in their parenting and see what they could do to help their child. I'm assuming, to help them not be homosexual. And that was very saddening to me and very disturbing to me that in 2008, we still don't realize that for a large part of homosexuals, that was not a choice. It was something that they were born with, something that was in them since birth. And I think a lot of the responders, and maybe a lot of us in the general public, believe, especially when it comes to these young girls who are proclaiming to be bisexual or lesbian, that it's part of a fad. And I can kind of see that. It seems to me that when the rappers, hip hoppers started have these videos with these chicks on chicks and talking about how they would take the girl that that would do it with a girl, they would be with them for the night, and they'd be popping bottles and they get to go to the mansion and do whatever. And women, truthfully, we want a guy's attention, and sometimes we do things that are kind of detrimental to our character. Not to say that bisexualism is detrimental or a character flaw, but if that's not who you is, then it is. You're fronting. Being going against who you are for attention is detrimental to your character. So in that, it seems like it may be a phase, but I don't know. It might just be that homosexuality or sexual preferences outside of just straight heterosexual couplings is being more accepted. We still have a long way to go, but it might be our parents, mom and dad might have had some tendencies when they were kids, but it just wasn't popular to express, so they just went about doing the Adam and Eve role all their lives. I'm not quite sure if I can agree. I can see how it looks like, in regard to these young women being bisexual, how it looks like it might be a fad. But I kind of think that, maybe it's just that, it seems more prevalent because you can do more out in the open than you could, 10, 15, 20 years ago. But back to the point that a lot of these parents said that if their kids came out or when their kids came out, they felt like they went wrong. And it's like, how do you feel that is your child are they lacking in any other area? Not to say that I don't like, I'm not, I was raised Christian and I was raised to believe that homosexuality is wrong and that it goes against God, and I'm kind of wondering about that. But I won't say that I'm all out advocate for homosexual activity, But the reality of it is that we have people who we know, whether they admit it to you or not, that are homosexual, and there are human beings, and I believe above all things in the rights of human beings. So if my child were to come to me and to say that he was gay, it would hurt me. I can't sit up here and lie. It would hurt me, but I would have to meditate on it until I got to the point where I could accept it, because this is still my child. He is still the same gift he was when he was born, and up until the point that he came out. This is if, not to say that he has, but if in the future he does, then I would hope to be understanding. I would not deny myself the upset feelings, but I'm not going to tell him that I think I did something wrong. I'm not going to tell him that I think what he is wrong and that it can be fixed, because it can't. These are human beings, people. And I can't imagine, and just, speaking as an African American, how we were discriminated against, how we were, how people use the Bible to justify, why we were enslaved and why we are discriminated against. If you're African American, then you know that that's not the truth. You know that you are a whole human, fully capable of achieving great things. And I don't see how it could be different with people who have, sexual orientations other than heterosexual. These are still human beings. They still deserve love. And then we're talking about kids. You have to love your children. This one guy said he would put his son out. And so the radio host was like, well, what age are we talking? And he was like, if he was 16, 17, he was like, for sure. He was like, what about if he was 12 or 13? Because he was so dead set on, believing that it's a choice. How do you feel like it's a choice that your 12 or 13-year-old has made to be gay? How do you feel like that's a choice? To me, that points to it's something that you're born with. And I think there's some folks out there who, experiment. And, it might be some who do, join up as a fad. But I think for the most part, that's not the case. It's, they are born homosexual, just like many of us are born heterosexual. It's not a choice. And I can't believe that a 12-year-old would make that choice, not having had exposure to a sexual experience, and really just becoming sexually developed. I cannot say that he would make that choice, knowing how ostracized that you are in society when you are different, especially in this aspect. I can't believe anybody would choose to be discriminated against and not be able to marry legally, someone they fall in love with if they're the same sex, to be harassed, to be beaten. I can't, think that somebody would choose that. So, YouTube, let me know, how do you feel about it? I would hope that many of you, if you had kids who came out to you, or who, you might think is going to come out, how would you handle that? I like I said, I would be upset for a minute, but I would find a way to get past it, because, above all, my kid needs my love, he needs my support. And, with that admission, his life is going to get a whole lot harder. And so I guess that's what I want folks to realize is, these are still your kids. They still need your love, and they're going to need your support to make it until this country can start accepting all individuals as human beings, regardless of what they do, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. Until we truly get equality in this country, they're going to have an uphill battle. So YouTube, let me know, what would you do? And I just hope that, you would approach your kids with the understanding that they need, even if you were upset. So let me know.